This video contains commentary. What's crack-a-lackin', my magical little dudicorns? Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into some r/choosing beggars. What do you call a group of Karens? A privilege. Without further ado, smash that subscribe button, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. My best friend, user AshClev, and I have a friend who is complaining about our emotional support. Posted by user StarLord1097. So this story has a lot of details that I won't get into. But basically my friend and I have this other friend, and she is in a GC with us, group chat. And we're kind of a squad. Well, she's going through a lot and has gone through a lot in her life. She has a lot of trust issues and recently cut her best friend out of her life. In the last 2 weeks, she has been emotionally unstable, and because me and her have been arguing, my friend has been there for her a lot. She's been putting a lot of trust in him and telling him all her problems, and it's taken an emotional effect on him. In return, all she has done is complain about the best friend that she lost, with only herself to blame. Instead of being thankful of the help my friend has been giving her, all she does is talk about how we will never be as good as this friend she lost was. When my friend, who was extremely upset at this, confronted her about it, she told him she was cutting him out of her life because she wasn't going to cut her former bestie out once again, as she was mending their relationship, just to make him happy. Also, when asked why she wasn't thankful to him for being there for her, she told him that she was actually fine and didn't need his help. Okay, so, I don't really think this belongs in Choosing Beggars exactly, because if you're claiming to be this person's friend, like, advice and being there for them should be a given. You know what I'm saying? But she's clearly acting like a spoiled brat if she completely disregards, but who knows? There's 3 sides to this story. Maybe 4, but I don't even really know what to say about this one. This is just, it seems like a bunch of kids having an argument to me, and I'm not really going to comment much more on it. That is pretty shitty to tell somebody that they won't be as good as somebody else, though. That's a Karen thing to say. Alright, my dudes, before I get into the next story, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications for future videos just like this one. I promise you won't regret it. This next one is called Girl Demands Homework Written for Her. Posted by user I'm Tammy B. Since this pandemic has started and schools were closed due to it, there has been a rising number of choosing beggars. Usually, when these students are in class, they don't write anything, don't pay any attention at all. Now, they suddenly have to do everything, including tons of projects and assignments. This isn't an issue for me because I'm a hardworking person, used to this approach. A lot of choosing beggars situations have happened, but I'll disclose this one. A girl in my class asked people for answers to 30 questions, which are intended to be graded. No one responded to her, so she proceeded to whine in our group chat. Someone sent her photos of their work. Done, right? Nope. She demanded them to send the answers written in her handwriting and changed a little bit. She had everything in one place, just had to write it down and could not even do that. Thanks for listening to my rant. Oh, why? Why do you appease them? Why do you give them the answers? This is how they continue to go through their life pulling shit like this because of people that just give in and say, here you go. Fuck everybody else that actually does the work. Let's just cater to this little bitch Karen over here. What the fuck? Don't do that. But I don't like the colors. Posted by user Draco Queen. Something I just remembered. On mobile, by the way. My parents were cleaning out a closet in the guest room when they found snow gear. Knowing they definitely won't ski again, they decided to give them to me to sell online and told me I could pocket the money, but that I needed to get rid of them ASAP for a guest coming soon. I listed each piece of gear online at pretty low prices and got hits almost immediately. For the most part, no one tried to bargain and everyone was polite and on time. except for this lady. This lady asked for some adult women's ice skates that I listed. Her first question was whether or not I had the same shoes but different colors. I told her no, these were the only pair I had on sale. She proceeded to ask if she could pay $5 instead of the listed $15 since the color was not the one she desired. I told her it's either $15 or stop wasting my time. She eventually accepted, and we arranged a time and place. I arrived at the Panera Bread parking lot at the arranged time, but was told she would be late by a few minutes. Few minutes turned out to be half an hour. Finally, her car arrives and this short, pudgy woman came out and met me at my car. When she finally arrived, she threw apologies for her tardiness that anyone could hear was fake from a mile away. I showed her the skates and immediately her nose scrunched up. "I don't like white." "Well, these are what I listed." "Well, I don't like white. I'll only pay $5. We agreed on $15. "Yeah, well, I only got $5 on me, so..." She gives me puppy dog look, but unfortunately she was dealing with someone who doesn't take shit from anyone. So while maintaining constant eye contact, I closed the skate box, slowly shoved it back into my trunk, and was walking to my driver's side door when she suddenly realized that her little stunt wasn't gonna get her the skates. "Wait, where you going with those?" "Gonna donate them to Goodwill." It wasn't actually. There were people who answered the listing after her that were interested, but like hell I'm gonna let this lady try to skimp me. Wait. Let me hop into Panera Bread really quickly." She quickly ran inside the Panera Bread and after a few minutes came out with, alas, more bills in her hand and a croissant. I held out my hand and she placed $12 in it. 15. "Well, I had to buy a croissant. I didn't need to break the 20. $15. The lady just stands there staring at me, expecting me to accept the $12. I just made my way to her car, put the $12 on the roof of her car, and walked back to put the skates back into the trunk when the lady finally relented and handed me a 10 and a 5 before I shoved the skate box into her hands. She scampered back to her car with a scowl and drove off. I made sure to give her a shitty review on Facebook Market before driving back home. Oh, good for you, standing up for yourself. Fuck that bitch. Clearly, she said she had a $5 bill on her before. Then she went in to get change, so she had the 10 and the 5 the whole time? Like, or did she get out a 20? You sneaky, sneaky, sneaky little Karen. Oh my god, my dudes. All right, so there were only 3 new stories posted in r/ChoosingBeggars today. So I went back a little bit and I found 3 others that I have not read yet that got quite a few upvotes. So I'm going to read those. There's 3 of those. And then I think I might get into a couple of humans being bros, my dudes. I think you might like that. So let's get into this story. This one is called "My Neighbor Thinks She Can Walk Into My House and Help Herself to My Dinner or Anything Else She Wants." Posted by user DokoCD. Updated. Please note I was young when this happened and I have learned not to get walked on or allow this type of behavior. This story happened many years ago. While we were in the military, we moved frequently and at one base in particular, we lived in condo-style houses. Lines of homes that have 1 or 2 walls that are connected to each other. I mentioned the type of house because it shows how close we were to our neighbors. We did have our own driveways, but they were for single cars and were right next to our neighbors. This base was in a warm location where we should have an air conditioning unit, but we did not. We were enlisted and lived in older houses, and only newer enlisted or officer housing had AC. The reason I mention this is because I would leave my front door open and have just the screen door closed so we could get crosswind to cool the house. This should not have been a big deal, right? Wrong! Our neighbor that was connected to our left liked to come over and borrow things. Our neighbor, or choosing beggar, will be referred to as CB moving forward, would come over and at the beginning she would knock and she would ask for things, such as a cup of sugar or milk. Then as time progressed, choosing beggar would knock and just walk in, and at this point she still asked for stuff. To be honest, this didn't really bother me too bad because it wasn't too frequent. But then all of a sudden it changed, and Choosing Beggars stopped knocking altogether and began just walking in. I did say something, keeping it light in hopes that it would work. I knew we were going to be neighbors for a while, and it could be bad to have a bad relationship between neighbors. Back then, I had a lot of anxiety about having negative interactions with people. Then Choosing Beggar became pregnant, and her entitlement all of a sudden knew no bounds. Choosing Beggar would not only walk into my house, she would go into my fridge or freezer and grab whatever she wanted. This one time I was making dinner and she walked over, smelled it, grabbed a plate, and served herself. I said something to the effect of, "I'm making that dinner for my husband," and Choosing Beggar responded that she's only taking a little and there will be plenty for him. That was it. I was mad. After that, I tried locking my screen door, but the cheap lock wouldn't hold. Choosing Beggar was able to pull the door open and eventually snap the lock off. I finally said screw it and started shutting my actual door, which sucked because it was hot and no AC. But it was better than dealing with her every day. I thought that would work, but she started going through our back door and coming through our screen door. Oh, did I mention her husband was like 3 ranks higher than mine was and she was seriously taking from us when they could afford way more? Anyway, this went on while Choosing Beggar was pregnant. Finally, after Choosing Beggar had had her baby, Choosing Beggar started asking for even more. She wanted my husband to come kill bugs when her husband wasn't home. She asked me to do things she could easily do for herself, like go to the grocery store. The final straw was when she woke me up at 2 a.m. saying, "So cold," and mumbling. I seriously thought something was wrong with her baby. I got up, woke my husband up, and let him know, and ran over to her house, and I do mean ran. I ran into her house, door was unlocked, and Choosing Beggar was laying on the couch. She wasn't feeling good. She wanted me to get her a blanket from her upstairs closet. I finally lost my shit and told her I thought something was wrong with her baby. I was over it. I told her, "Choosing Beggar, you are not to walk into our house without permission, and you are not to ask my husband for anything anymore. The only way it is ever okay to call me in the middle of the night ever again is because you need 911. Choosing Beggar just looked at me and said something about, "Since you're here, can't you just get the blanket? You're being a horrible neighbor." I walked out of the house, went home, and went to bed. Moving forward, Choosing Beggar scowled at me every time she saw me and pointed at me and talked about me to her husband and other neighbors who told me later. Choosing Beggar's husband got orders and they finally moved. I was so happy because she made it uncomfortable being at my own home till she did. Oh, fuck, man. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. You walk into my house, you just sign the acceptance form indicating that you have accepted I'm going to punch your teeth in. Like, you know what's good for your health? Staying out of my house. I used to have an aunt that did this. She would just walk in, like, when my parents weren't home, and, like, I'd have a PA day. She didn't realize that I was off school that day. She would just let herself in, help herself to what's in the cupboards. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, do you not have food at your own house? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, we don't call her aunt anymore, by the way. A man misunderstands flight attendants' directions and feels entitled to a free premium seat because they won't apologize for lying to him. Posted by user LDZ. This happened last night, and it was one of the most satisfying encounters I've ever had with someone with a downright comical sense of entitlement. I took a flight from San Francisco to Boston that was in the afternoon after a full day of work. I have a $200 airline credit to use on just this one flight before I lose it at the end of the year, so I was debating between trying to drink through $200 of free booze over the 6-hour flight versus upgrading my seat to the front row. In the end, I decided to go with the seat upgrade, and I picked the window seat in the absolute front row of the plane with a shameful amount of legroom and an empty middle seat. I never get upgrades, so this felt quite the luxury to me. Turns out the rest of the plane was completely full, so I was feeling pretty good about this decision. However, I still had some work to do on my laptop and was disappointed that because there were no seats in front, I could not keep my backpack in front of me, and I realized I had to go fight the mob of people still boarding for some overhead bin space before they all filled up. There was a very nice businessman sitting in the aisle seat in my row who stood up to help me. This is relevant later. The overhead bins filled very quickly, at which point the flight attendant at the plane door started announcing, "Overhead bins are almost full. Put your bags in the first one you see," to all the people still boarding the plane. Now, here comes the last man to board the plane. He is probably about 6'3", and he runs in and kinda shoots the shit with one of the flight attendants for a few minutes, and I'm not paying too much attention besides hoping he's not going to take the middle seat, and the fact that he is talking very loudly and he seems to be a bit drunk. For the rest of the story, I will call this man Dirk, because I don't know what the male version of Karen is. Nobody is in any rush to start getting ready for takeoff, and we soon know why. The pilot gets on the loudspeaker and says because of the weather in Boston, we need to wait here before we can take off. Now Dirk has stopped talking to the flight attendant and starts to walk down the aisle, sees our empty middle seat, and announces, "Cool, I'll take this first seat because it's empty." Throws his backpack down in the space in front of us and slams himself into the middle seat. Now, of course, I wouldn't have minded if someone had purchased the middle seat, but now I'm grumbling a bit internally, thinking about how I spent my airline credit on this upgrade instead of booze, while this guy is going to get the nice seat for free. And nobody immediately came up to him and asked him to move his backpack, so I'm also frustrated that I had to go and put mine away, and now his bag is in front of my feet. And finally, Dirk is being extremely loud and vocal. For example, when the pilot came on the loudspeaker again and said we would be waiting 45 minutes before takeoff, Dirk yelled out, "Man, this is some bullshit!" Stuff like that over and over. So at this point, I haven't said anything to him, but I'm sitting there probably looking like this. It's been about 5 minutes already, not too long, but I'm starting to think they're just going to let this fly. Then comes one of the flight attendants and walks up to this guy and says, "Sir, can I please see your boarding pass?" The man laughs a bit and says he just showed it at the gate, and the flight attendant repeats that he would like to see it. So the man starts rummaging through his backpack and hands the attendant some crumpled up paper and then goes back to his phone. The flight attendant uncrumples it and now starts to look annoyed and goes, "Sir, you just handed me a receipt. Try again." The man starts belly laughing like, "Ha ha ha, oh, my bad," and then pulls his boarding pass from his pocket. Of course, he is in 32B, and the flight attendant asks him to go to his assigned seat. Now they start to fight, with Dirk saying, "But the guy said to take the first available seat. Nobody is sitting here anyway." And the attendant repeating that he didn't know how he heard that, but people need to pay to upgrade to these seats, and he needs to go to his assigned seat now. Things started to get heated, and Dirk is full on screaming now, saying, "Why did he say to take the first available seat then? Why was he lying?" The attendant is yelling back, "This isn't Southwest," and the rest of the plane is silent and watching. Now at this point, I'm guessing Dirk misinterpreted the guy at the door saying to throw your bags in the first available overhead bin, but I did not want to get involved and have this potentially drunk man next to me direct his anger at me. Edit. The flight attendant announcing this was being very clear about this being for bags as well, so I think Dirk was just making up excuses. At this point, there are 3 flight attendants in the aisle arguing with Dirk, who is still scream repeating the same thing about being lied to over and over. They are saying he needs to move or get kicked off the plane, and Dirk is replying that of course he would rather make it home to Boston tonight than get kicked off, but he needs an explanation first as to why they lied to him. In comes a boss of a lady who wasn't taking any of Dirk's shit to join the argument. She interrupts Dirk and says, "Look, you have 2 options. Take your assigned seat or get off the plane. I don't care what you think you heard. I don't know why we are still having this conversation." Then, when Dirk would open his mouth to continue arguing, the lady would hold up her hand and yell, "Ah, ah, ah," like a mother silencing their toddler having a tantrum, and I am sitting there 6 inches away from the action watching this all go down like this. Dirk sits there in silence for a few moments, mouth open, looking at this lady, and then stays sitting in the seat and looks back at his phone and starts mumbling again in a low voice about being lied to. At this point, the 3 flight attendants walk away and Dirk seems to think that he's won. But lo and behold, 1 minute later, security comes on the plane. Now seeing this, Dirk stands straight up and says, "Okay, I'll go take my seat," and starts to walk down the aisle. But they stop him and remove him from the plane, and we didn't see him again. And me and the nice man sitting in the aisle seat ended up getting free drinks for the rest of the flight for our troubles. So good thing you did choose that seat because you got both. You were going to debate whether you wanted the free drinks or the seat, and you got both. Thanks, Karen or Dirk. Like, holy childlike behavior. You know what I mean? Like, I would expect that from a child. You give them, like, 3 warnings, and then finally when you go to act on those warnings, they're like, okay, I'll do it. I was one of those kids. Everybody was one of those kids, I'm sure. But you grow up, you grow out of it, and when somebody asks you to do something, especially on an airplane, like, you gotta be super, super nice on airplanes. They will find any reason to kick you the motherfuck off that bitch. You just grow up, man. Just grow up. All right, this is the last Choosing Beggar story I've got for you guys today. This one is called "This is a Bit of a Long Story," posted by user Fat Elvis, who we have read stories from before, and we did a follow-up to this one, I'm pretty sure, a little while ago. There's that collective we again. All right, let's get into it. I have a neighbor named Bob, who is the biggest choosing beggar douchebag I've ever run into. Bob is a wheeler and dealer, a haggler, a con man, always looking for the best deal. If Bob buys or sells something, he has to feel like he got the upper hand or he won't do the deal. Then to add insult to injury of the deal you made with him, he runs his mouth about how dumb the other person was and how smart he is. He is my neighbor, and while I don't like Bob, he would totally run into your burning house to save your kids, even if it was only to ask for a settlement afterward for pain and suffering. You can't choose your neighbors. One time, Bob bought 3 lawnmowers at an estate sale for $10 each, then could not get them to run and offered to sell me one for $25. I knew how to fix it, so I bought it, fixed it. Then he came back wanting more money since I got it running. We told him to suck it. He then demanded I help him fix the other 2, for free. It's pathological. He has to come out on top or his bruised ego would be crushed. His penis would cease to get hard and his wife would leave him, or something like that. So I showed him how to fix them, and he turned around and sold them both for $50 each, then still complained that I owed him $25. That is Bob. He's the kind of guy that you both agree to a price. If it is too fast, he wants to change it after you agree. So the choosing beggar that pushed me over the top and why he has this restraining order against me is a little longer. I was managing a project where we bought 20 cases, 2,000 lamps of light bulbs, that the owner decided were the wrong color and was good with paying for 20 more cases in the right color. The lamps I bought were 40-watt LED warm dim in standard base, E26, if that makes sense to any of you. Warm dim is a cool feature. The lamp dims from 3000K to 2200K, and the lamp real mimics the old incandescent lamps well. These lights look fantastic in residential homes. They were non-returnable, and they were going in the trash, so I took them home with the consent of my boss. The day I roll up with 20 cases of lamps, Bob came over, beer in hand, to find out what I was up to, and I tell him the whole story. His eyes just glass over and asks if he can have some too. I give him a case and he takes it out without even saying thank you or helping me unload my truck into the garage. He is an ass. I'm used to it. So I just ignore him as he walks off with a case of lamps, probably to go brag to someone about how dumb I am for giving it away for free. Sure enough, over the next few days, various neighbors come knocking, wanting their free lamps too, and I pass out a few small boxes of 10 to their disappointment. Then, someone on Facebook starts a post for the neighborhood about me passing out free lamps, and before this gets out of hand, I announce they are $1 each. Come get all you want. Nobody comes. I still have 18 cases and wonder if I can sell them on eBay. Sure enough, there are lamps on eBay and even a case of the exact ones I'm wanting to sell. Then I look closer, and the box in the picture has a job number writing in Sharpie on the side in my handwriting. It was the case I gave Bob, and he was trying to sell it on eBay. So I contacted the seller and asked if he had any more, that the price was fine, but I really needed 10 cases. The next day, my garage door is open, and I'm mowing the grass, and I look up, and Bob is in the garage grabbing cases of lamps. After stopping what I'm doing, I ask Bob what he is doing, and he just looks up as if it's the most normal thing ever, and says he's just gonna help me out and take a few of these cases off my hands for me. The guy's a scammer and a liar, but damn, that was bold. I keep calm and say that sounds great, but the lamps are $1 each, which is what I put on Facebook. The offer on eBay was $2.50 each, and retail, these go for around $3.50 each. For some context, Bob is indignant that I would dare to charge him for the lamps. The very guy who would take them for nothing, sell them for a profit, then brag to anyone who would listen about how dumb I was, is mad at me for it? He is pissed and stomps off, calling me a little cunt. This was when I stopped taking any of his behavior for granted. Bob comes back the next day and tries me again, only the price is $1.25 on principle, and I got to watch all veins in his face pop out and his skin turn red. This goes on for a week as I prod him on eBay for a delivery time. The problem with Bob is he just can't pay the asking price for anything, no matter what, even if it means spoiling the eBay deal. He really would cut his own nose off to spite his own face. We settled for the original $1 a lamp, and I sold Bob $1,000 worth of lamps. He demanded I deliver the lamps to his garage as part of the deal. No biggie, I was having fun anyway. Then I watch as he tells the buyer, me, on eBay he has the lamps, but there is a shipping and handling fee and his cost has gone up. I horse traded with him on eBay for days. It was great fun. Then I just walked away. About 3 weeks later, Bob comes back and wants to know if I would take the lamps back. I just smile and say I have plenty of lamps, and he is really agitated. After a couple of weeks, I just can't leave it alone. It was too much fun. So I contact Bob on eBay and tell him a sob story about my project being out of money and ask if he will cover shipping and handling. We go back and forth a few times, then he asks for my address for a shipping quote, so I send him my address. This is when Bob figures out I got him. He is livid, comes to my house yelling and screaming, saying he's gonna sue me, and I just smile and tell him to fuck off. Bob can't take being bested, so he calls my employer and tells them I'm stealing light bulbs. He has pictures and proof and is willing to testify in court, etc., etc., etc. My boss got a great laugh out of it. Then Bob crossed the property line, got in my face, and started screaming with spittle and everything in my own damn driveway. This little cunt sent him home, and now I have a restraining order. Yeah, I still have 8 cases of lamps I can't seem to get rid of. I would have let him sell all 20 cases for a small cut of the proceeds, but that was not good enough for Bob. It's never about the money with that guy. He has to feel like he screwed you, or he is not interested. Oh, is that kind of a Kevin? I really like this Fat Elvis poster. They're really good at storytelling. Oh my god, and this is like just the beginning, I think. Like I said, I've read one of their stories before, maybe a couple of them. I feel like I've read a couple. I had to have. But definitely go and check out this poster on Reddit and some of the other stories because they're pretty good at telling one. That's for damn sure. And clearly Bob never learned from this because, like I said, there's more stories. All right, my dudes, I'm going to finish off the Choosing Beggars with a little screenshot that was shared to me from a Discord server. It's like 3 people talking to each other, maybe 4. Yeah, 4 people. So here we go. Life is just a game. Great graphics, shit storyline. I want a refund. Will in-store credit be fine? Terrible devs. I think that game is play-to-win game because I can't seem to get the good ending unless I pay a lot. Would you like to purchase this DLC to find out more? Nah, the Corona DLC kinda sucks. I've seen enough. Hey you, can I interest you in the World War III DLC expansion pass? Clearly these people are all just joking with each other, but it is kind of funny. Like, it's true. Like, this game called life is pretty much pay to win. But I mean, they're also kind of being, epitomizing the choosing beggar mentality. I had to include it. It's great. Anyway, let's get into some humans being bros, my dotes. 71-year-old became emotional when the police brought cake to celebrate his birthday during lockdown in India. P.S. He stays alone. Posted by user a_guy_has_no_shame. Okay, let's look at this. All right, let's look at this.
आइए अंकल प्लीज आइए केक कटिंग करो कैप लगा के
कोई बात ना अंकल जी कोई बात ना
Thank you, you made my day.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear uncle.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh my god, you guys, that was like the sweetest thing ever. Okay, faith in humanity slightly restored. I'd say we're at about 25% right now. Let's get into the next one. What is this one, my dotes? This one is regarding a religious community in Outremont, Quebec, I think is how it's pronounced. Posted by user D7MTG. Says, wow, our lovely neighbors just delivered this lovely gift to all homes on our street as a token of appreciation since they've been coming out onto their porches to pray. But the singing and prayers have already been such a gift. So there's some croissants, I think it looks like, maybe. I could be wrong, I could be totally wrong. But I think this is amazing. See, to me, this is what religions should be about. It's supposed to be, about loving each other and living in harmony, and if you have your beliefs, I have my beliefs, we can do them side by side and still be perfectly amicable. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how it should be, is all I'm trying to say. I fucking love shit like this. Even though I'm not a religious person, I love seeing stuff like this. Like, it just makes me kind of take a step back on my stance of anti-religion. You know what I mean? I'll never be a religious person, but this is a step in the right direction is all I'm saying. I like seeing stuff like this. And here's a nice letter written by Tom Hanks to an 8-year-old boy named Corona who's being bullied at school. He sends him a Corona brand typewriter he used during quarantine too. Posted by user In Spite of Gravitas. 10th of April, 2020. Dear friend Corona, your letter made my wife and I feel so wonderful. Thank you for being such a good friend. Friends make their friends feel good when they are down. I saw you on TV, even though I was back in the USA already, and all healthy. Even though I was no longer sick, getting your letter made me feel even better. You know, you are the only person I've ever known to have the name Corona, like the ring around the sun, a crown. I thought this typewriter would suit you. I had taken it to the Gold Coast, and now it is back with you. Ask a grown-up how it works, and use it to write me back. P.S. You got a friend in me. Thanks again. That's me clapping really excitedly because I fucking love it. Oh my god, that's so cool. I've always been a huge fan of Tom Hanks, and now, yeah, even more so. Totally being a bro right there, Tom Hanks. If you hear this, give me a shout. I don't want anything for free. Just a shout out is fine. That'll never happen. Whatever. But you just don't lose hope, my dude. Sometimes you never know. Stuff like this happens. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button. Especially don't forget to subscribe so you're always up to date on the newest videos. I post them about 4 times a week, sometimes 5, depends on how I'm feeling, you know. Some people you gotta do things other than worky things to make your life a little more enjoyable. Not saying I don't enjoy doing these videos, but you know, sometimes you just gotta take some time off and just chill. Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Alright, my dudes, as always, the links to these stories will be in the description below, so head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it. And as always, I will miss you guys until the next episode. Peace out, my dudes!